today?
Hey, good morning. How you doing, Ernest?
And we got another great show coming up. It's great to be in the South. Right now we got the number one, got New Orleans Saints, and we got the number one LSU Tigers. First time since 2011, and we're loving it. So we're gonna have a great show, talk some great sports, and see y'all back in a little bit.
See you in a few minutes. Welcome back to Breakfast with Champion at Port City Cafe in Biloxi. I'm Jeff Marion.
And I'm Randy Kennedy with iHeartRadio.
And this weekend, as we're getting closer to the end of the football season in high school, we're starting to see things shape up a little bit. You had a couple of big games you wanted to talk about.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Not only are we getting where we're in the playoff run, but also some of these rivalry games. We had that be the case this last week with D'Iberville and Gulfport. You know, Gulfport have not lost a region game since 2016. And again, that streak continues because they win by a touchdown over D'Iberville over the weekend. Gulfport, just a juggernaut. And you know, that was one of those games where Gulfport had to survive 3 onside kicks. D'Iberville scored 14 points in 30 seconds, and yet Gulfport, really a strong team, survives again. They advance. These teams are going to make some noise in the playoffs.
Well, we're seeing that Gulfport's still at 7-2, D'Iberville 7-2. That shows that Gulfport was 6-2 going into this game. D'Iberville was only 7-1. In region play, Gulfport's still undefeated.
Yeah, and that's the key here. I mean, obviously you want to win these rivalry games and that sort of thing, but it's all about positioning for the playoffs. And, you know, one loss here does not eliminate either one of these two teams. And just a great game, a great atmosphere with the, you know, tough weather on Friday night with the entire region. But just an outstanding game there. We'll see, maybe, you know, see these two teams again in the postseason.
Yes, even though Biloxi is sitting at 7-2, their region play, they're only 3-2. How does that work, and how do they decide who ends up in the playoffs?
Well, it's all about your region games, how you do against the teams in your own region. If there's a tie, then you get into tiebreakers. That's where the overall record can come into play. Mm-hmm. Who you beat, how good the team was you beat, those sorts of things. But obviously, how well you do in the region is what it's all about. Well,
looking at some of the stats that Gulfport has through the season, Cade Crosby, the quarterback, is 92 of 146, 1,493 yards, 19 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Can you tell me a little bit about him?
Yeah, I mean, they have been explosive offensively and defensively. So he's been a very explosive player for them, and look for them to have success going forward into the playoffs, yeah.
Yeah, and Jaden Wally, of course, he's being looked at by some major schools.
Yeah, and you can sort of see double there with you know, the 2 Wallies there who are very exciting. One a senior, one a junior. Those guys, you know, the elder Wally brother going to Mississippi State, and the younger, who knows, being recruited by just about everybody. So 2 of the more talented players on the Gulf Coast this year.
Yeah, and he plays multiple positions too, correct?
Every position. That's why you don't know what you're seeing there. Quarterback, wide receiver, kick returner on defense, those sorts of things. So does everything on the field, both those guys for D'Iberville.
And in rushing, you got Deshaun Shields, 616 yards. Well, in receiving, 616 yards receiving, 9 TDs, and then Gable with 601 rushing yards and 5 TDs. So they've got a lot of. He's got some weapons to work with there.
Yep, it's that time of year. We're getting ready for the playoffs, and those teams are both going to be in there. So this is the exciting time of year, not just for the pros and the colleges, but also on the high school front. We're going to be seeing a lot of those teams make some noise in the state playoffs.
Well, when we come back, we'll be talking about the college rankings. We'll also hear about SEC play and more about the Saints this weekend coming up on Breakfast with Champions.
Vic Dion at Champion. Shopping online for a vehicle drives me crazy. We have a website, but in order to stay competitive, we have to put every discount available, which most people don't qualify for. You own a horse, you get $500. You got a hamster, you get another $1,000. It's that ridiculous, and I don't like it. Come on over to Champion. Let's visit the websites together. All of them. At Champion, you're still going to find the best price on the coast. Check us out during Ram Power Days at Champion.
Business has one speed, fast, and with new 1 gig internet from Sparklight Business, you can put yours on the fast track to success. We're delivering on our promise to connect you to more opportunities, more speeds, and more flexible plans. With speeds up to 1 gig, you can download a 2-hour presentation in 8 seconds. Collaborate across the country in real time. Access cloud-based applications instantly and more. Because with new speeds come new possibilities. Call now to find the right speed for your business with Sparklight Business.
Welcome back to Breakfast with Champion. I'm Jeff Marion.
And I'm Randy Kennedy from iHeartRadio, and introducing an LSU fan, Kathy, trying to get in her final bragging of the year before LSU plays Alabama in 2 weeks.
No, not the final bragging of the year. We're going to the championship game.
Oh, you think this game coming up 2 weeks is a championship game, huh?
Well, this is a championship game on its own merit, but we're after the big championship as well.
Okay, equal time. Tell me why LSU is going to beat Alabama.
Because we're a better team than Alabama. Alabama hasn't played anybody this year. That's why we're number one right now.
Number one right now. First time since 2011.
Are you an Alabama fan?
I am representing Alabama in this segment, yes.
You are. Okay, well, in representing our LSU fans, I need you to say LSU is number one.
LSU
for the
is
next
number
2
one.
weeks.
That's right. 13
Yes.
more days, they'll be
Yes.
number one. That's right.
Yes. Oh, no, it's not going to end there because we're planning on going to Alabama and giving them a taste of their own medicine.
You know, last time they were number one was 2011. Played in the Sugar Bowl. LSU didn't score a point.
Okay, so Alabama fans have a tendency to do this. They want to go back on the past. We're setting new precedences right now.
All right. What do you like about this LSU team?
We're just a great team all around, led by a great coach, and we're going to do this year. We're going to do this year.
You like Ed Orgeron?
Yes, Coach O is wonderful. Go Tigers.
He embodies LSU, that's for sure.
Yes, he does.
And the good news is, whoever loses this game, season's not over, whether it's Alabama or LSU. Still got a chance at the championship.
Not. No, we absolutely. All
right, can we be friends after?
That depends.
Are we friends now?
Are you going to wear? You need to wear. When we beat Alabama, I would really like to see you wear purple and gold.
Fair enough. We will set that up. All right, how about that? On the show. I will wear LSU the day after, the weekend after LSU beats Alabama.
I have a few extra shirts I can loan you, as a matter of fact.
I've got one or two that could pass. Okay.
Well, guys, I hate to interrupt you, but we're out of time. We'll be back with more.
Give us a Go Tigers.
Go Tigers.
This town is on the move, and we're moving forward with you, helping you grow your business and connect to more customers using today's ever-evolving advertising technologies. Now we're taking our commitment to you one step further, connecting people to one another, connecting your business to the world, connecting what's now to what's next. Sparklight Advertising. Go anywhere from here.
Good morning and welcome back to Breakfast with Champion, your football sports talk. Visiting here with Randy Kennedy with iHeartRadio, and of course you know my old buddy Ernest here.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm being the backup to the LSU fan that just got off the segment. And hey, we'll keep talking college football.
Y'all make a good team.
Oh, absolutely.
So Randy, we've had a little bit of I wouldn't say a shake-up because we're not too far into this. I mean, we're getting into the meat of schedules, but we have had some moving in the rankings this weekend. Would you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, and it's justified. I mean, LSU has beaten 3 top 10 teams. This is the first time ever in SEC history a team has beaten 3 top 10 teams in its first 8 weeks of the season. So LSU's justified to be number one. Doesn't mean anything for Alabama. Number 1, number 2, doesn't matter. They're going to get their chance this week, coming up in 2 weeks against LSU. So not that big a deal, but it does sort of set the stage even more for that game in Tuscaloosa coming up November 9th.
Do you think, with the way it happened this weekend, do you think that maybe Ohio State should be further up than they are, or do you think 3 is a good spot for them?
I think they're where they ought to be. You know, when you look at college football right now, there are still 9 teams that control their own destiny to make it into the playoff. 4 of those are in the SEC, and they're going to start sorting themselves out this week with Georgia and Florida playing. If Georgia loses there, they're out. Florida would probably be out if they lose this week. So you're going to lose a contender there. Alabama, LSU coming up next week. Then you've also got Minnesota and Penn State. Who would have thought?
Yeah.
Those two teams are undefeated. If either one of those two run the table and go undefeated, they're going to be in the playoffs. So 9 teams still remaining, but after this weekend, there's going to be 8 at the most after Florida and Georgia play each other.
Yeah, and I can see that it's going to be hard. I mean, well, with Alabama and LSU playing each other in 2 weeks, something's going to happen there. But if whichever one of those lose, how far do you think they'll drop out, depending on how close the game is?
Yeah, well, that's the thing, with Notre Dame having lost in a big way to Michigan, Oklahoma with that shocking loss against Kansas State, I think Alabama or LSU, the loser, is still going to be very much right there in contention for a playoff spot. I wouldn't think the loser's going to drop further than like number 5 in the country, which very much puts you in the running still for a playoff spot. Of course, you'd much rather win that game and just control your own destiny and go straight through and win a championship undefeated. But even the loser now, particularly with some of the games that have gone on, is going to very much be in the picture still.
And this weekend, we wanted to discuss a little bit about that the Auburn-LSU game. How impressed were you with LSU's win in that game? And I want to get to Ernest, too, after you.
Yeah, really impressive. I mean, here's the thing. That Auburn defense is for real. I mean, that is a national championship level defense for Auburn. It's probably it does have a chance to be the best defense in Auburn history. It won't go down that way because they've already lost 2 games. They're likely to lose another one. And so you won't think of this as being a great Auburn year because the offense has struggled. But this defense is historically good. So LSU scoring 23 points. That's certainly less than what they have been accustomed to scoring, but that's not a bad performance for LSU, almost 500 yards against that really, really good defense. So I don't take anything negative away for LSU in that regard. For Auburn, it just feels like such a lost opportunity when you've got a historically good defense and yet you're going to walk away with no championship and really not anything to show for it because this offense has been so inept and elementary in their attack, actually.
And they had some key injuries to their defense in that game that kind of messed with their ability to stop LSU.
Yeah.
Well, they did, but 23 points. I mean, look, you give up 23 points to LSU. I mean, what more do you want from a team that's, they're averaging over 50 points a game. You hold them to 23. That's good enough, right? I mean, to give you a shot.
Yes.
Well, I'll tell you the difference in the game. In the past history, LSU has played games just like Auburn did in this game right here. LSU's always struggled at the quarterback position. Bo Nix went 15 for 35. Okay, those are numbers that LSU's quarterbacks usually put up in the past. We've got a Heisman Trophy guy quarterbacking now, and he was 35. He was 35 of 45, so he had 10 incompletions. Bo Nix had 20 incompletions, and the difference is a quarterback play. I mean, Bo Nix missed some open receivers, which in the past LSU did the same thing. We play Alabama. We've got receivers running open. We got a quarterback can't hit them. So Alabama lowers up the box. They stop the run. That's how Alabama has beaten LSU in the past. This year, they're not going to be able to do that. This year, they got to play a whole field. LSU's going to run the ball. They're going to throw the ball. And, clearly, them playing Auburn before Alabama was a good thing to do because LSU can see, what a tough defense they got to go up against. And they're going to use that to their advantage. So,
one thing I was going to make the point, you make a really good point about the offensive philosophy because what Auburn's doing now, similar to LSU, where you just kind of play in a little bitty box and there aren't really a whole lot of opportunities there. That's not LSU anymore.
Right.
With Joe Brady coming over to work with Steve Ensminger, this is an offense now that the whole field, vertically, horizontally, that you've got to cover. That has not been LSU football in the past.
Yep.
And when you watched Auburn with the ball, it's almost, it was almost painful to watch Auburn with the ball to think, man, do something different. Try something different. And you used to scream that about LSU, but you don't scream that anymore.
Yeah, it's a different style of ball being played there. And the future looks good because we got Miles Brennan in the back and behind Burrow. He's been there for 3 years, and this guy's itching to get on the field. So when Burrow leaves at the end of this year, Miles Brennan is going to take up and continue the program for 2 more years. So we're excited.
Stanislaus guy.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
One thing I'm seeing too is as each week goes past, there's enough on tape that the teams are able to see some things that they can dissect, things that they can take advantage of in any given moment with these teams. So LSU is starting to make adjustments. Alabama's making the adjustments they need to make. And what does that say that Mac Jones can be plugged into that offense and them not miss a lick?
Well, it says they were playing Arkansas. I mean, that's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, you did mention that last week.
He
that this would
could
not
have put
be-
the 8th-string guy and he would look good against Arkansas. I don't think you take anything positive or negative away from the Alabama game. I mean, they're playing Arkansas. They've lost 16 straight conference games. It was just a talent difference between those two teams. So I don't really take anything positive or negative about Mac Jones or Alabama, except that Mac Jones looked comfortable. It didn't look like the moment was too big for him.
I was going to say that his mechanics, the way that he was able to work in the pocket, the way that he was not just staring down his receivers, he looked like he didn't look like a backup. But like you said, they were playing Arkansas, but that was a good game for him to get adjusted and to get comfortable throwing to receivers because he was spot on. He was pretty accurate.
Of course, they don't want him to be the guy they depend on against LSU. We will see that, word is that Tua Tagovailoa is likely going to be healthy and ready to go against LSU, but we're not going to know that till he's actually out there on the field. No matter what you hear in the press or what you hear from Nick Saban, you're not going to know until you actually see him out there at Bryant-Denny Stadium in the biggest game of the year.
Well, you got a war over in the East. Georgia going to Florida, playing in the Swamp next week. That's going to be a game to watch. Ole Miss
Not in the
comes
Swamp,
to
playing neutral side.
Oh, that's right, neutral.
Yeah.
So that's then you got Ole Miss coming into Auburn. And so Auburn could get their legs back under them and maybe run the rest of it, but they're going to hit when they have to play Alabama. We'll see what they really have.
Yeah, and Ole Miss, I mean, it's a good opportunity for them, but Auburn has been, with this offense they run, it's not great against a team like LSU, but when they play somebody where they've got the physical advantage, their offense tends to look great, and we know how good that defense is. So tall task for Ole Miss coming up this week.
Well, coming up next, we'll talk NFL, especially your Saints, and we'll talk our sports betting coming up next on Breakfast with Champions.
It's Vic Dehon at Champion Chrysler Dodge Jeep. We have the sleek and fast Charger SXT right here at Champion for $19 and some change. U.S. News ranked it one of the best top 10 American-made vehicles on the road today. A sports car with comfort. Come and ask for stock number 39120. Some terms and conditions may apply. It's the Dodge Power Dollar Sale here at Champion. ChampionValue.com.
Champion!
Good morning and welcome back to Breakfast with Champion at Port City Cafe, which we've renamed Sport City Cafe. I'm Jeff Marion with Ernest and Adam from Sportsbook at the Hard Rock Casino. Welcome to the show, Adam.
Happy to be here, ready to talk some pro football.
Yes, absolutely. Ernest, amazing game yesterday with Breeze having his first game back after his injury. And it was kind of neat at the end when the crowd started shouting for Teddy at the end. I thought that was good, giving a nice warm, giving him some love. How about that?
Well, what was going on, we were at the game, and they played the music in between breaks and everything. The music was going. Teddy was on the sidelines dancing with some of the players. And the camera went to him while he's dancing. As he starts dancing, the whole crowd just breaks out, Teddy, Teddy.
Wow.
And so, it's a fun time to be in New Orleans, fun time to be in that stadium. Everybody's loose, the players are loose, and heck, we get the MVP back, Drew Brees.
Adam, I know you're not a big Saints fan, but how fun is it to watch this team play?
They're a heck of a team. Drew Brees, heck of a player. They've been putting together a great season. Their defense, this is probably one of the best defenses they've had in years.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Drew Brees had a heck of a game. I was surprised he even played the full game. I figure with their bye week coming up, he was only going to play maybe half, it's about halftime. They bring in Bridgewater second half. But, he definitely showed up to play yesterday.
Well, I tell you what, Cliff Kingsbury trying to go for it on 4th and 1 in his own territory.
30-yard line.
7
minutes in the third quarter. We were sitting there as fans watching because the punt unit wasn't coming on. We're sitting there like, this guy's going to go for it, 3rd and 1. And, the Saints' defensive front is got to be one of the tops in the NFL, top 3 at least. And they hand the ball off, and we're sitting there like, man, they just shut them down. And, we take over and we score a touchdown, and that changed the whole momentum. Everything from that point on was all Saints.
Now, we still have 2 undefeated teams. Got the Patriots on the AFC, and then how scary are the 49ers? I know when they played Washington last week, They were in sloppy conditions. It was like a 9-6 game. I mean, something really low. But the way they destroyed the Panthers yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely look like they could be the real deal. I mean, with that defense, offense is, all right. But, I mean, Nick Bosa leading that defense, he's making a case for Defensive Player of the Year.
And the Packers, too.
Yeah.
The Packers, they got the swagger. Aaron Rodgers is out there blowing teams up. I tell you what do you see going forward as far as this on the Saints schedule? Who do you think the scariest teams are for them to play?
It's going to get settled here in the next couple of weeks because 49ers have got Green Bay. We've got the 49ers in the Dome. I think that game right there, us playing the 49ers in the Dome, is going to determine that number 1 seed. If you look at the 49ers, their first 7 games, they haven't really played a tough schedule. Right. They haven't gone up against an Aaron Rodgers or Drew Brees, the top quarterbacks. They played Carolina. They played Kyle Allen. He's still new. He struggled. But the 49ers are about to start playing some tough competition. And it's going to get settled here pretty soon when everybody starts playing it. Minnesota's got to play Green Bay. Minnesota's 6-2. So it's going to get settled here in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, those teams will definitely show what type of a team San Francisco really is.
One thing that makes the Saints really scary is they're still not playing with their full roster. You got Kamara's out, Jared Cook was out, but how special was it to see Taysom Hill come in and working at wide receiver?
Huge.
Because there's been a lot of talk. You got Michael Thomas. He had 11 catches for 112 yards. Murray had 102 rushing yards and a TD.
Yep.
They're spreading the wealth around, and they're saying, who's that number 2 receiver? Well, Taysom Hill came in, and he acted like, like he was Christian McCaffrey or something.
Yeah, Taysom Hill. And look at Ted Ginn. Ted Ginn made a few more catches this week. So Ted Ginn is just showing up when they need a 3rd and 15, a 3rd and 17. Ted Ginn is stepping in there. And Latavius Murray, I mean, this guy is big. I mean, watching him in person, I mean, he made a run around the end. He looked like Chuck Muncie.
Yes.
Chuck Muncie reminded me of Chuck Muncie back in the day. He's just so strong. So we don't have Kamara, but Latavius Murray back-to-back 100-yard weeks.
Yeah, with Ingram leaving, everybody was like, where's that 1-2 punch now that we had? We're going to miss that. Well, now that Latavius Murray has gotten established, he's got the trust of Sean Payton, and it looks like they're gonna be able to pick up where Mark Ingram and Kamara left off. What do you think?
Without a doubt. Latavius Murray, he was a good back with Minnesota. He's definitely showing it, here with the Saints.
Well, when we come back, we'll be talking about sports betting, see what the spreads in the game are coming up, talk a little bit about that on Breakfast with Champions.
Hey folks, feeling like a bit of adventure? Well, we got it for you. The Jeep Cherokee Latitude Plus right here at Champion for 19 and some change. That's right, you heard it right. 19 and some change for a Cherokee Latitude. JD Power 5-star rating. Come on in and ask for stock number 69059. Some terms and conditions may apply. It's time for Jeep Adventure Days here at Champion. ChampionValue.com.
Champion!
Welcome back to Breakfast with Champion at Port City Cafe, which we've renamed the Sports City Cafe. I'm Jeff Marion with Ernest Ulrich and Adam Stanley with the Hard Rock Casino Sportsbook. And this is a segment where we talk about betting.
Betting, yes,
Talk
sir.
about the money line.
Yes, sir. Money line, it says straight up, all this got to do is win. Depending on the money line, though, you definitely got to put up some money to win some money.
Speaking of that, 2 weeks ago, Illinois upset Wisconsin. The money line on that game was $3,300. You put up $100, you're going to win $3,300. That's how that bet works. So you're just trying to find that dog that you think might cover. Last week, Kansas was getting 6.5 against Texas Tech, Les Miles. They win the game outright. I want to say the money line on that game was maybe 220, 250. So you find games like that, and those are the games that you're gonna collect. You're gonna collect pretty good money on.
And Kansas State this weekend with their upset.
Yeah, I believe they're about a 20-1 underdog against Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Well, let's look at some games that's going on this weekend. Of course, on a bye in the NFL is Atlanta, New Orleans, Cincinnati, and Los Angeles. So what are some games you're looking at this weekend, Ernest?
Denver Broncos, 42 is the number at that game there. Denver is 0-8 as far as covering the over-under. Their games are going way under just because of their offense. The other thing with the Saints, I know they got a bye week, but in the month of October, the Saints are 16-1-1 with Sean Payton as a head coach. So, if you're looking for a hot team in the month of October to bet on, clearly it's the Saints against the spread.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, too, with Denver, I mean, Joe Flacco just looks lost out there on offense. I mean, an under would be a great bet pretty much anytime Denver plays.
Yeah.
Well, San Francisco this weekend just killing the Panthers at home, but they go on the road to play Arizona. They're getting 8 points. Do you think that's enough of a spread? Or?
Yeah. I mean, all you just got to do is if you contain Kyler Murray, they're going to end up, beating the pants off of Arizona. I mean.
Yeah, I'm thinking 8 points might not be enough with Arizona the way they're looking. And New England at Baltimore this weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Baltimore, I mean, will probably be really their only main competition they've had so far this year. If they contain Lamar Jackson, they could end up covering that. I mean, you could see it end up going closer to a touchdown spread.
Yeah.
This could be the game that New England stubs their toe on, but that's the game I would stay away with on money.
I remember when Cleveland went to the Ravens and walked out with a 40-24 win at Baltimore. So it just goes to show you that Baltimore, being at home, they struggle. They struggle going against Brady.
Yeah, New England though has struggled with running quarterbacks or mobile quarterbacks. So, but they've got in fantasy points one of the best defenses. I mean, they're putting up, gaudy numbers on fantasy points for defense. Plus 20.
Right. Yeah, they've got a tough defense, real tough. New
so
England
what in
does.
The college spectrum are we looking at, Ernest?
Florida and Georgia. Georgia is Georgia's getting 5.
Yeah, they're getting 5 on a neutral site.
And I look at this game the same as LSU Auburn. Georgia's got Fromm, and Florida's got a freshman quarterback. This is a big game, big stage, and for Georgia to be getting 5, I'm taking Georgia all day long.
Yeah, look for that line to move closer to probably Georgia plus 3.
Well, Florida's defense, barring any injuries that have set them back, I mean, they do have a defense that could challenge Georgia, but 5 points, that's still a pretty close game. So,
Georgia was projected a playoff team, national championship team, and losing to South Carolina, the steam has kind of fallen out of them, but I think they're going to rebound against Florida.
Do you think Auburn and Ole Miss, Auburn's getting 8, I mean, they're 18 points on Ole Miss. I mean, that's quite a spread. How safe is that bet?
Auburn, I think, is just going to pound it on Ole Miss, simply because of the way that the game is just. Malzahn's going to have a reason to beat up on them.
All right. Well, that's it for Breakfast with Champion this week. We'll see you next week on Breakfast with Champion.